The following program contains discussions of health conditions that may be distressing to some listeners. Views expressed are those of the featured individuals and do not represent of the host. This program is not intended to defame or disparage any individual, entity, caste, community, race, religion, institution, or person. Listener discretion is advised. Please note that this program does not provide professional medical advice. Consult a healthcare professional for personalized guidance. What women want when it comes to sex?
For a female, emotional intimacy is connected to their physical intimacy. If a female is able to be emotionally nude in front of his man, then no one can stop her.
I'll take the man's perspective where he said that when I want sex from my wife, what happens is that she just lies there.
Females have been conditioned from the society, like how they should look, how their vagina should look. And after some point of time, they are never taught about their pleasure. So when they are not enjoying an act, तो उनके लिए क्या बन जाता है? एक duty बन जाता है. So I think the need for sexual education on a rise. We need it right now.
What common problems or concerns do couples come to you?
One wants more sex, दूसरे को कम sex चाहिए. This is a common issue. Then again, satisfaction is less in the relationship.
So are we in a way justifying that if a need is not met, it's okay to sort of cheat on your partner?
We are not actually made for one man, one woman. I can get attracted to other people, which is very normal. It's a human instinct. अगर कोई आपको नहीं बता रहा है तो समझ जाओ they're hiding. But a healthy relationship is where you can actually...
What do you mean when you hear the term intimacy?
See, physical nudeness is easy. But where you are emotionally nude in front of your partner, that builds true intimacy.
Hi, I'm Neha and this is the Lifesaver Show. Joining me in a very interesting conversation, which I'm going to title Let's Talk About Sex today, is Ashita Khanna, who is a clinical psychologist and a sex therapist. And she's going to be telling us a lot on intimacy issues, the problems that couples face in their marriage and out of it, and what exactly can be done. Let's listen in. Hi Ashita, welcome to the Lifesaver Show.
Hello Neha, hi, I'm glad to be here.
Ashita, you are a sex therapist and a clinical psychologist. Now, I want to ask you, why did you choose this field of sex therapy?
All right, so the story goes back long when I was in class 9th.
Okay.
So when I was in class 9, we used to go to library and people used to read magazines, and out of curiosity we used to have those sex columns in magazines about sexual issues. My friends used to read that, but
Okay.
when I used to read that was out of curiosity. So much curiosity, when I used to come back home, I used to Google those terms, some answers I had no clue about. But that curiosity even remained when I was, something made me choose psychology because that was closest to how I can treat sexual issues.
Okay.
I did not have bio, so psychology was the second best option to, get in the term, and then I can see clients with sexual issues. And then I came across Dr. Mahendra Vatt's column. He's a renowned sexologist. There's also a famous Netflix documentary on him.
Okay.
You
Interesting.
can watch that. Yeah.
Okay.
And he used to answer, sexual issues, problems very slyly. I used to read those columns and I was very intrigued about that. Later, when I did psychology, I was not satisfied. Did my MPhil in clinical psychology, got my license. Somewhere I was not satisfied. And because I was seeing clients with sexual issues, but again, the training lacked, the depth when I see sexual clients. Then I came across some certification programs from the US. That is how I got my training from the US in specifically in sex therapy, and I brought that to India, and I'm just practicing as a sex therapist.
Fabulous.
And
So,
psychologist.
when it comes to men's brains and women's brains, are we wired differently when it comes to, thinking and relating to sex? Are men's brains and women's brains, are they different?
Absolutely. When we talk about hormones here, testosterone, estrogen levels are different. So yes, the basic biology of how we are, made, we are different. So definitely how we approach the topic, how we approach intimacy, it's absolutely different for males and females.
Okay.
And that is where the huge gap lies, the huge pleasure gap lies,
Mhm.
where males needs to understand how a female body works and a female needs to understand how a male body works.
Okay.
That's where my whole work lies.
Okay. So let's talk about what women want when it comes to sex. What are the particular, because you do these online video chats with your clients, and I'm sure you must be sort of, listening to like a variety of questions and a variety of concerns coming from them, specifically from women. What are the concerns that women have, or the issues that they seem to face?
Okay, so yes, I see clients from different age groups, from like 18s and 20s until all the life stages.
Okay.
And women from different life stage have different problems. So if the same problem a 20-year-old lady is coming to me, they'll have a different approach to it. A same issue a 40-year-old will be a different. So if I just cut short and tell you what are the main areas female come to me, it is about how male approach them. Like,
Okay.
desire level. So
Okay.
a male tends to just start and they're just done with sex, whereas a female body takes time. They are
Okay.
like like we use the milk metaphor. हम just दूध उबालते हैं, it takes time to come to the boiling point. So female body is like that. एक
Okay.
female को to get arousal, to reach that level of high, to enjoy, to reach that level of orgasm. So then they need their time. Whereas a male is like super fast, like a train, and they're done. So that is one of the problems.
Arousal basically is very mental for women. They need like a lot to sort of get them aroused. That's what you're trying to say.
Absolutely. Arousal
Okay.
is mental for both males
Okay.
and females.
Okay.
However, a male arousal is super fast. Like they can just switch like
Mhm.
on and off button. But for a female, it's not like that.
Because men are also more visual creatures, right? You can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what sort of I have believed, that men are very visual, whereas women are. For them, it is very emotional. It's very mental. It's very it takes them a while. Is that true?
Absolutely. So for a female, emotional intimacy is connected to their physical intimacy. If
Okay.
everything is all right emotionally in the relationship, if
Uh-huh.
emotional health, if a man is, safe, and even if she's able to be emotionally vulnerable, I
Uh-huh.
call it the emotional nudeness. If a female is able to be emotionally nude in front of his man, then no one can stop her from, just giving herself all in. For a woman, it's not just about the body.
Okay.
That is where the gap lies. And answering your questions, there are a lot of women who comes to me for pain issues where they're not able to consummate their marriages. It's been 10 years, 15 years. They're not able to have sex because of pain. Why that pain is happening, that's another story.
Uh-huh.
Then sexless marriages turning into, from starting from having so much sex in the initial years, then having no sex at all or having sex once or twice a year. That's a
Okay.
big issue we're having in our not just our country, but everywhere, but
Okay.
it's on a rise.
I came across a very interesting quote actually on Twitter the other day, and it was pertaining to the lack of sex in married couples. And there was a woman's perspective and there was a man's perspective, but I think I'll take the man's perspective, where he said that when I want sex from my wife, what happens is that she just lies there while I just, and she makes these faces and she's just not interested at all. And so it's all just huffing and puffing, and then we are done with it. And then there are also women who tell their husbands that don't disturb me for 1 week, abhi agle hafte baat karenge. Is that also, do couples come to you with these sort of concerns as well?
Yes, absolutely. These type of relationships only turn to sexless in the coming years. These are the initial signs. So one thing that I want to talk about is females have been conditioned from the society, like how they should look, how their vagina should look. And after some point of time, they're never taught about their pleasure. So they often fear talking about their pleasure, thinking that, acha, mujhe pleasure dene ke liye they'll have to spend so much time, my partner will have to spend so much time, who will do this effort? तो वो बोलते ही नहीं है. So when they are not enjoying an act, तो उनके लिए क्या बन जाता है? एक duty बन जाता है. So she lies there as a duty. So again, a woman also needs to say, they need to learn to, put their needs first. The more a woman will put herself into sex that she does not desire, the more her body will become aversive to it.
Okay.
Her body will start shutting down, not feeling things. And then it's just a chore. Like she just lie there, काम हो गया, अब अगले हफ्ते आना. like a duty.
You just spoke about these various things that women who don't want to do, or I don't know, it's something like painful sex, or people who cannot consummate their marriage or whatever. Why do you think these issues happen?
So the issue that I was discussing about is called vaginismus.
Okay.
So vaginismus is psychological.
Okay.
Basically, when a gynae also checks, so a female feels pain when some medical instrument or tampon or finger is inserted. Now, if we go back into history, when we take histories, it is majorly psychological because some thought comes in their mind that this might hurt me. And when this kind of a thought comes, or some bad experience they have had in past, or some information from the past is there, that makes their body shut. This is our body's natural response to keep ourselves safe from pain.
Okay.
They're actually anticipating pain. They're not thinking sex as something pleasurable. They're anticipating and relating it unconsciously with pain. तो body क्या करता है? Ultimately shut करता है. अब कोई चीज shut है, walls of the vagina are shut, and you try to insert something, it will pain. So वो cycle continue होता रहता है. Now one bad experience leads to another, and then she keeps on shutting her walls. So वो consummation becomes, difficult. So it requires behavioral as well as psychological intervention here.
So what you've spoken about, do you think this is also somewhere sexual trauma, and it manifests itself in relationships like these? You understand what I'm trying to say? Sexual trauma, basically something that they must have faced earlier on in life, and they have an inability to enjoy sex or to just think of sex as a pleasurable act.
So sexual trauma is altogether a different topic.
Okay.
Yes, sexual trauma can be one of the reasons because of which now they are facing vaginismus or painful sex.
Okay.
Because again, treating and coming out of sexual trauma is altogether a very deep topic. Trauma can be different for different people. One experience experienced by me cannot be traumatic, but same experience. I'm talking about the minor
True.
traumatic experiences. Again,
Okay.
not to say what is minor or major yours, like explicitly, but something that is not traumatic for me can be traumatic for someone based on
Okay.
how their environment and how they suffered it. So it's also very subjective. Now, I'm not talking about abuse, and that is all traumatic, but trauma is also very subjective.
Well, I think what I meant was their conditioning earlier on, like their, when they're growing up in the initial years, the way they are conditioned, the way sex was approached by their parents to them, how aware did the kids become of their own bodies? I think that's what I'm probably trying to say to you. Yeah.
So when it comes to, if I'm understanding your question correctly, how kids have been trained, I don't think that training around sex education is there.
Okay.
I am not aware if you know that, like in the recent trends, the stats also say that the younger generation, like before 15, 16, a lot of their generation is now getting into abortions at this age. They are using contraceptives at this age. So I think the need for sexual education is like on a rise. We need it right now. One of the research also says that, like, I cannot remember the research exactly where is it from, but if you're giving right sexual education to the kids earlier, so there is a delay in start of their sexual life.
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
But right now the trends are very horrific. I think people are starting having sexual connections very early.
Yeah.
Horrific in the sense because they're not fed the right information. So safety is a concern here. Are they having safe sex? Because at that time our brain is not built completely. So all of that is need of the hour.
Ashita, I want to ask you, how do you broach the subject when somebody comes to you with fears about physical intimacy? A lot of people, a lot of women also view this as they're scared to get into any sort of physical relationship, any sort of relationship that requires any form of physical intimacy. How do you broach that? And why do you think that happens?
So why they are fearful of physical intimacy again, going back to the history. My whole work lies in the first, second session where I need to understand every individual and their concerns.
Okay.
2, 3, 5 women coming with the same concern will have different root causes for that. So my whole work lies finding the root cause, why the fear is coming, where is the fear. So it's like a case and a mystery to be solved for me. So working on that, why is there a fear in physical intimacy? Have they had some past traumas? Again, coming back to traumas. Something happened in their childhood or maybe in their younger adulthood. So all of that needs to be explored to give you an accurate answer to that.
what common problems or concerns do couples come to you, because you counsel couples a lot online? So what do they come to you? What questions or what problems in their marriage when it comes to intimacy? What do they have to say?
Initially, I just club the issues where they come for me. They come for
Okay.
desire issues when one
Okay.
partner have a higher libido, other doesn't.
Mhm.
Like one wants more sex, दूसरे को कम
Mhm.
sex चाहिए. This is a common issue. Second issue they come for could be infidelity, cheating. Then third could be one wants to explore more. Now exploring more means a lot of things these days. Open relationships, just exploring within the relationship. Again, that's also a concern. So when two partners are not aligning, so that is one of the concern. Then again, satisfaction is less in the relationship. So these are some concerns. Couples do come and seek help for that. Whereas yes, premature ejaculation, vaginismus, erectile dysfunction, ये तो known causes हैं ही जिसके लिए आते हैं. But because that also impacts couples' health, right? These are other issues other than what are so in the mainstream.
Let's talk on infidelity. What exactly is infidelity and why does it happen?
So infidelity is anything that happens out of the non-verbal contract of the relationship,
Okay.
right? If you're doing something which other partner is not aware, which you think, and you've had a discussion around that this is not allowed, like it's a breach of contract of the relationship. That is infidelity. Now it's happening on the emotional level, physical level, that's cheating.
Okay.
Why does it happen? Now, understanding that some needs are not being met in the relationship.
Okay.
सबकी कुछ ना कुछ नीड्स होती हैं. इमोशनल नीड हो सकती है, फिजिकल नीड हो सकती है.
Wow.
कुछ चेंजेस आए रिलेशनशिप में, पहले था अब नहीं है. तो कोई नीड आपकी जब मेट नहीं होती है रिलेशनशिप में, दैट इज chances are more that infidelity happens in a relationship.
Mhm. So are we in a way justifying that if a need is not met, it is okay to be a part of, or is it okay to sort of cheat on your partner if our needs are not being met?
Very good question. We're not justifying that.
Okay.
Let's just go back to our history first to understand this. We all, as humans, we are coming from the animal kingdom. Like we all have animal instinct. We are not actually made for one man, one woman.
Okay.
Or actually, we're not made for monogamy, monogamous relationships. Being in a relationship, it's very natural that we can get attracted to other people. Right? If I'm married, if I'm, in a relationship, I can get attracted to other people, which is very normal. It's a human instinct. अगर कोई आपको नहीं बता रहा है तो समझ जाओ they're hiding. But a healthy relationship is where you can actually discuss this with your partner. Okay. I find this person hot. I find this very attractive in this person. This is a healthy boundary that should be there in every couples. Now, every couple should have a talk what is allowed for them and what is not allowed, like what other partner is not comfortable. And if there are some changes after time, so there have been we all are like a flow. हम 10 साल पहले जैसे हैं 10 साल के बाद वैसे नहीं रहते. We do tend to change. If that change is in a very different direction, if we are altogether a new person, then problems start arising. The other partner stops relating with us much.
Okay.
And that is when we attract different energies in our life and chances of infidelity happens. So change कैसा है, अच्छा change है, बुरा change है, हमारे partners हमारे साथ change हो पा रहे हैं, नहीं हो पा रहे हैं. Reason for divorce is also this. तो ये बहुत एक questionable area है, right या wrong नहीं, but वो change को हम कैसे navigate कर पा रहे हैं, that.
So this thing of being monogamous, like you said, that it comes from our ancestors. I have also read that the human beings are not monogamous by nature. And you have just said exactly the same thing. So where are we when it comes to relationships? I think marriage is not. It is not just marriage that defines that. We have that tag that defines relationships now. There are situationships. There are like I remember when we were younger, when in our college days or whatever, there used to be a thing called friends with benefits. And now I think that term has become situationships or something like that. Aside from, so there are many realms and there are many layers to what just a simple relationship is now. Do you agree with me?
I agree, but I'll just help you. I'll just point out one difference between friend with benefits and
Okay.
situationships.
Okay.
Earlier, friends with benefits was clear. We are friends, but we're having some benefits. Nothing more than that. That
Okay.
was a clear definition. But situationships means ना पे यहाँ commitment आप कर रहे हो, ठीक है, यहाँ पे क्या होता है, when one partner is wanting more, is much more involved in the relationship, and the other one is not. That is actually a situationship.
Okay.
When one partner is willing to give more and is much more involved, and the other is
Okay.
because of XYZ reasons. Maybe they are emotionally unavailable, immature, they're not available in the relationship. Everything is there like a relationship, but the commitment is lacking. The communication is not happening only. So,
And what is exactly do you mean by non-monogamy?
so non-monogamy is an umbrella term. Uske
Okay.
andar open relationship, polyamory, and all that comes. So
Okay.
non-monogamy is simple. Then I can have more than one partner,
Okay.
whether for my emotional needs, whether for my physical needs. That is what means being in a non-monogamous relationship.
Another thing I want to ask you, Ashita, why do you think that divorce rates, in fact, are skyrocketing now? What is the possible cause for that?
So अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं marriages की, marriages क्या है? They are a societal convenience, right? If you are in love and then you think things are aligning, and then you decide, okay, after 3-4 years we'll marry. Those marriages last longer.
Okay.
But अभी अगर वो short span of time में you meet and you marry and then you find it's not aligning. पहले चल जाती थी marriages, क्यों? क्योंकि हमारी कोई need पूरी होती थी marriage से, whether financial, बहुत डिपेंडेंसी थी एक दूसरे की किसी ना किसी चीज के लिए. बट अब जैसे जैसे टाइम चेंज हो रहा है, पीपल आर नॉट डिपेंडेंट ऑन देयर पार्टनर. वो खुद अर्न कर रहे हैं, दे आर नॉट डिपेंडेंट. मिल गया तो ठीक है, नहीं मिला तो भी ठीक है. तो जब ये वाला माइंडसेट है तो डाइवोर्स रेट्स तो बढ़ेंगे ना. इफ समथिंग इज नॉट अलाइनिंग, नहीं जम रही है, नहीं जम रही है.
True. Also, I feel because I see a lot of people who I know are getting divorced, are in the process, or they're separated, and I feel that they are also they've embraced the fact that just getting divorced is not the end of their life, and they can start at any given time. So basically, there's no age to wanting to start a new relationship or a marriage to end. There is no age as such.
Absolutely. So the change in mindset is happening. When some need is not being met, so they are not bound to be in that relationship. If they are putting themselves first, this is also a change you are seeing. And it's a very good change अगर वो अपने आप को ऊपर रख पा रहे हैं, if their needs, are not being met. Again, being in love is a choice. If you think things can be worked upon, that's a very healthy place to be. But even after trying, things are not aligning. Then rather than suffering, it's better to come out of that.
I think that there's somewhere there people don't get therapy or don't speak to psychologists enough because of this fear of being judged. Like I was speaking to a gynecologist also, and I asked her the same question: are women more open now, talking about their sexual history and the partners that they've had with you, or do they still, because वो होता है ना कि let's talk in hush tones and हमें ये नहीं बताना चाहिए, हमें वो नहीं बताना चाहिए, but not realizing that the more open you are with the doctor or the therapist that you're talking to, the quicker the resolution to your problem will be.
Yes. So one point is me not only going because of the fear of the judgment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Another point is me having a bad experience pehle because my
Okay.
therapist judged me. That is also stopping them to seek more help from the right clinician. Third is this is also part of my job. If someone is there, like if someone is in front of me, I am the therapist. It's also my job to make them feel comfortable.
Okay.
So how I do that, that's my expertise.
True.
So once a client is with me, no matter how much resistance is there, we try to roll with the resistance.
Ashita, what is this term called open marriages and why is it on the rise these days?
So open marriages are where your primary relationship stays the same.
Okay.
Like you have one primary partner, but you have different other partners for your other needs.
Okay.
But your emotional primary partner remains the same. So your other needs are met by secondary partners, but you remain in one primary relationship. So that is what open relationships are, and people are trying this kind of a relationship these days.
And what exactly happens when you are not attracted to your primary partner anymore?
It's not just for attraction. Somewhere people's emotional needs are not met in the primary relationship, and that is why they end up being in a secondary relationships, or they want to explore more. So they are sexually satisfied with their primary partners, but they want more. They like the adrenaline rush when it comes to being desired by other men, or women, whatever. So they end up into secondary relationships. Talking another side of this, before I just want to give a disclaimer before, if someone is listening to this podcast, if a couple is really looking forward to explore more and going into open relationships, it's very beneficial to seek the right help, seek therapy, see if you are in your relationship, you're actually prepared for it.
Why
Because
not?
I have seen a lot of backlashes also. Once they try to open the relationship, it's very difficult to come back in close relationships. I'll just share one of the cases here.
True.
What happened?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Like once there was this couple who wanted to open the relationship. They did not do any work and just went to explore, the newness that comes with in the open relationship. So one of the female partner, when everything was consented, like bringing the third person in the relationship and trying things, and the partner saw
Mm-hmm.
his partner, kissing and touching someone, it was a setback for her.
Okay.
She was in a trauma and she could not emotionally come back into that relationship ever again.
Okay.
How could my partner touch someone? So because she was maybe not ready, she had not done the work. So doing the work before opening and taking this big decision is important. I'm not saying that you may not be ready, but you need to first be 100% sure and be ready before doing this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I have absolutely no idea where does one draw the line when it comes to these sort of open relationships, situationships. I think both of the people who are concerned or the people who are in it need to be very sure about it themselves. I'm no one to judge. You're also no one to judge, but the people who are in it, they need to be 100% sure that there's no, that they will be okay with it. I think end of the day, right?
Absolutely. So there's no judgment here. जिन
Yeah.
लोगों के लिए काम करता है, it does wonders for them. So they're happy in their relationship with their primary partners. They have a family, they have kids, and they also have needs met outside the relationship. What is important is हम भूल जाते हैं कि इसमें एक contract होता है. How we therapist helps play a role here is helping them come to a contract. It's very
Okay.
important to understand what is okay for one partner and what is not okay for the other partner. And that should not be breached. And that is how open relationships works in peace. A simple example ye hoga that one condition in the contract could be that I don't want you to be physically intimate with any of people who we know or people from our city. Whatever secondary partner is, it should be outside of my town or outside of my city. This could be one of the condition. The other would be I'm not okay getting in touch with your previous lovers in your secondary relationship if it's done for a physical need.
Mhm.
And there are partners for emotional needs. So again, the contract is like that. What is okay for one partner and what is not okay.
Now, Ashita, when it comes to sexual pleasure, why is it very important for women to prioritize their own pleasure first?
So before prioritizing their pleasure, let's go back again. Do you remember your family member talking about vagina or breasts with you?
Not really. No,
Not really.
no.
Like as a girl child, what is our first exposure with any doll? Like how we used to get Barbies. That's the first exposure with something where we used to see breasts, we used to see legs, and those are not even real pictures of real bodies. And that is our first image how bodies should look.
Okay.
Those dolls don't even have nipples. Those dolls don't even have vagina.
Okay.
So if we look back how a girl child, looks at how a body should look like,
Sure.
it is a vagina-less, nipple-less image with, perfectly curvy figure. So that is a part where we are conditioned unconsciously that is how females' bodies should look like. That's
Okay.
the first, first information we get about bodies. Then as we age, we are never told and talked about, and the beauty industry is doing such harm. Our vagina should be odorless, it should be, white, and we are having so many treatments, dermatology and other cosmetic treatments are coming. We are not talking about what real body should be and how real body should look like.
Okay.
And even if there is the earlier exposure from porn, if you're getting that from porn. So, yes, females do watch porn. And when they watch porn, what do they see? White vaginas, hairless vaginas. So, their idea of pleasure is distorted since then only.
Okay.
So, when their idea of pleasure is distorted, they don't see them as beautiful. They don't touch themselves often.
Okay.
So, sex education again plays an important part here. We need to understand the importance of touching ourselves. And when we are doing that, that is how we can empower ourselves.
When you have grown up with that sort of conditioning, you tend to also not take to sex very easily. Like you think it's a very like a very putting off sort of an activity. A lot of women are very disgusted by the act itself because of their years of conditioning.
Yes. So when
So
they're
that
not, yeah.
doesn't that prevent them from reaching an orgasm entirely in their life?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is one of the major cause of females not able to achieve orgasm because they
Okay.
are not comfortable with their bodies. So my
Okay.
very basic work lies in the first session. If a similar concern is coming to me, in the first session, their self work is just to have a hand mirror and look yourself down there.
Okay. Okay.
Just
To
because
get
they're not
comfortable with their own body.
absolutely
Okay.
helping them realize that the vision that we have of a hairless vagina, white vagina, it's not true. It's all distorted. That is not how real bodies look. You are beautiful the way you are. So first start looking at your body naturally, like the way it is. The more you look it, the more you will start seeing it as normal. अगर आप रोज रोज कोई चीज देखोगे आपके लिए वो नॉर्मल हो जाएगा. आप किसी से पूछ लो कि आपने अपने आप को नीचे कितनी बार देखा है, आपको फीमेल से आंसर नहीं मिलेगा. That they've actually spent time looking down there on themselves, right? But boys के लिए आंसर नहीं होता है. They have been playing with their penises since the childhood. They have
Yeah.
a different relationship with their male body parts, but a
Okay.
female have a very different relationship with their female body parts. So जब यही establish नहीं है तो pleasure का scene later आता है.
True.
So what was
because
your question again?
No,
Now I'll come.
I'm actually understanding whatever you're saying because since time immemorial, women have just been told that sex is only for procreating, that is for having kids. Sex is dirty. Sex is not supposed to be indulged in. A lot of women are frowned on if they reach an orgasm or if they enjoy the act itself. It is considered as shameful. It is considered as you've done something wrong. And let me tell you that these thoughts are not. It's not that they existed earlier and they don't exist anymore. They still exist. They're still very much part of our society. Sex is something which is not meant to be enjoyed at all, at least for women. That's the whole thought process behind it.
जैसे कि मैंने कहा, when we lack sex education, we don't really learn that our desire is also equally important.
True.
So the initial experiences when a kiss scene used to come, we used
Yeah.
to, parents used to change the channel. Starting from that only, we don't have this concept in mind कि female desire and female arousal is important होते हैं.
Okay.
हमारा क्या रहता है कि फीमेल बॉडीज किस लिए होती हैं टू प्लेजर द मेल पर्सन. सेक्स मतलब मेल को ऑर्गेजम हो गया, सेक्स इज ओवर. वी आर नॉट रियली टॉट एंड टॉक्ड अबाउट इट. मेल्स को भी नहीं पता होता है, फीमेल्स को भी नहीं पता होता है, बट अब चेंज आ रहा है, पता लग रहा है लोगों को. बट पता लगने के साथ ये नहीं पता कि करना क्या है, कैसे अचीव करना है. बिकॉज एक लेवल होता है बॉडी लेवल, व्हेन यू आर हैविंग सेक्स एट अ बॉडी लेवल, फिजिकल लेवल पे होता है. But there is another layer to it. There's a higher layer to it. When two people meet, energies meet, and then you're able to experience that pleasure altogether to a higher level. Intimacy, pleasure, and that requires a lot of intellect. सब में नहीं होता है, सबको build करना पड़ता है, क्योंकि we are not being taught all of this.
Well, I seem to think that the tide is changing because now there are a lot of variety of tools available for women to pleasure themselves. They're available very easily available on Amazon. They're very easily available on different websites, and there are a lot of companies who are going very gung ho about women's pleasure, about women being able to reach an orgasm, and I think it's a fabulous route to take because we should be in control of how we view our pleasure and how we view our own bodies.
Absolutely. When sex toys are used, or I say pleasure toys are used for the, at times just to enhance the pleasure, they are very good. They are very good for someone to help them explore themselves, to reach a higher level of orgasm, to reach multiple orgasms.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that this should only be the source for a female to orgasm. This is not the only source. Females need to explore their bodies, using their sensations, using their fingers, using their hands. They need to feel the sensation. They need to learn about their bodies. Well,
True.
so that they know what pressure works for them, what speed works for them, where they like to be touched, what are their zones. So all of this a mechanical toy cannot help you with. So
True.
it is a good replacement, for some time,
Yeah.
but not 100% replacement of a human touch.
Ashita, what is, according to you, is intimacy? What do you mean when you hear the term intimacy?
So for me, intimacy is vulnerability.
Okay.
Intimacy is emotionally where you're able to talk to your partner and without the fear of being judged.
Okay.
Intimacy is, I call it surrender. When you're able to surrender yourself, to your partner, it can be male, female. When you're not feeling judged, when you're not, getting a defensive reply, you are just surrendering yourself. And where can we surrender? Where we feel safe. So safety is intimacy, where you feel safe, being seen. So emotional nudeness, where you are, physical nudeness is easy, but where you are emotionally nude in front of your partner, that builds true intimacy.
I want to talk a little on the subject of porn and how porn is basically fake sex and how it's distorted our view of what actual sex is supposed to be like. At length, when you watch too much porn, it really affects your judgment and it affects your or your thinking about how your partner is supposed to feel pleasure or if your partner has orgasm also or not. For instance, there are men who think that women experience some sort of orgasm because they watch so much porn that they think that, okay, they make certain noises or whatever, that means something has happened. But that is also not true. So how has the whole concept of watching porn distorted our the actual reality? How has that happened?
I'll answer this question, but let's talk about the source. Why are we watching porn? What is the reason to consume porn is very important.
Okay.
If it's for explorative purpose, like I want to explore something that I've seen in porn, then it's a good thing that we're learning something out of it. See, education purpose se to porn is completely bad, but that is the only exposure we have in our country, right? We don't have sex ed. So if a person is sane enough to understand the difference between real and unreal, that purpose is okay. If a person is watching porn for arousal purposes, like while watching porn, they feel aroused and they are able to masturbate well, then it's okay. But agar porn is your only source to learn, to understand your partner's body, then it's a wrong source. Now that is where the question that you asked impacts. So if someone is watching a lot of porn, to kya hota hai? We have all those wrong learnings and we think, okay, female को orgasms ऐसे ही होते हैं. All of that is fake. Everything is fake in porn. So we need to put disclaimers, or sex education will come and bridge the gap. You can watch porn, but this is real, this is not real. So understanding a female body doesn't work like that. Everything is beautified. People are selected based on their sizes, based on how they look, how the sounds are fake. Everything is fake in porn. So helping them understand is very important.
So when someone is watching porn, what is it doing to your brain? Like, aside from getting you aroused and aside from getting you probably in the mood for sex or wanting sex, what is it actually doing to your brain?
When we are watching porn, it gives us the same high like when we have sex. So dopamine is a pleasure reward, like a neurotransmitter in our brain, which is released when we are watching porn. So if you're consuming too much of porn, so dopamine is released a lot of times. So it is also something that we get addicted to very easily. This is a downside of it. And that is what makes us, watch it again and again, and it becomes addiction. Now, when we are watching too much of something that is not even the right source, our mind keeps on thinking and, believes that this is what is happening is right. And then we, when we are actually connecting to a partner physically, that time problem arises because we don't know how the human touch feels.
True.
And while we are watching porn, mostly people are also masturbating. So that is also increasing. When you're masturbating, your senses are also, too much masturbation inhibits your senses. Maybe your premature ejaculation starts, or, the sensitivity gets hampered for both males and females if it's happening too much. So connecting with real partner becomes a problem. वहाँ पे आपको लगता है कि आपको कोई दिक्कत आ रही है, erection का issue आ रहा है, and then you have to seek help for that. So porn altogether, because of the reward system, the dopamine, you get addicted to the dopamine, कि आपको addiction की तरफ लेके जा सकता है. So watch, but in limits.
Does it like watching too much porn, does it in any way lead to erectile dysfunction or premature ejaculation or any of those problems when men are actually having sex with women as opposed to, just watching it?
Yes, see, premature ejaculation, yes. If they
Okay.
are masturbating, when they are watching, they're masturbating. And if they're doing it a lot, it hampers the sensitivity. And when the sensitivity of the penis is hampered, you get, you start developing PE because the body comes in stress and, the timings are hampered.
Okay.
And when it comes to connecting with the real partner, because when you're watching too much porn, you're idolizing that woman that is
True.
the male or female, whatever
Yeah.
you're idolizing,
Yeah.
which have a perfect body, which have so much of sound effects. It's like a movie. It is a movie where everything is beautified. Now, when you are actually making love or just having a physical connection with your partner, all the efforts you have to do. फोन में क्या हो रहा है, एक सेकंड में स्क्रीन चेंज हो रहा है, फ्रंट व्यू, बैक व्यू, ये व्यू, वो व्यू, इतना तेज आपका ब्रेन स्टिमुलेटेड रहता है हर सेकंड, जैसे रील्स होता है आजकल, अटेंशन स्पैन इतना कम हो जाता है, एवरी सेकंड समथिंग इज चेंजिंग, यू हैव साउंड इफेक्ट्स, यू हैव विजुअल इफेक्ट्स, बट इन रियल लाइफ आपको ही सारी मेहनत करनी है. So they forget the part that they have to help their partner. If it's a male partner, they have to help their partner build that up.
Okay.
And for female partners, also when they're watching porn, and so porn is very aggressive. Females, mostly females, don't prefer such aggressiveness when it comes to sex. They like soft.
Okay.
They like to build it soft and then go towards aggression or whatever their preference is. So the ideas and it distorted when we are watching too much porn.
And where do you think is India ranking when it comes to the consumption of porn entirely?
Third, we are watching porn.
Okay.
Yeah, India is the third most porn watching country.
Okay. Ashita, lastly, I want to talk to you about sexual turn-offs. We've spoken at length about what sexual turn-ons are and different views on relationships and situationships and whatnot. Now, when it comes to actually getting aroused, there can be just like a tiny little thing that can put someone off and they want to go off sex entirely. Okay, it happens to so many of us. The things that come to my mind are body odor and bad breath. Now, I'm sure as a psychologist and a sex therapist, a lot of people come to you with tons of other stuff as well. Tell me a few interesting ones.
Okay, so when it comes to, we call it sexual brakes and accelerators. So something that accelerates your desires, those are something, that kicks your desires and arouses in. So it can be anything for any person. So some people, it could be a red sari, red color, red lipstick on a person, or a good body, and breaks could be anything. For some people, to be kissed with a lot of saliva is a turn off.
Okay.
So having the right pressure to be kissed. So everyone have their own preferences when it comes to breaks, So I urge the couples to talk about your breaks, talk about your accelerators. I even, advise them, go on dates and talk about what your accelerators, sexual accelerators and breaks are. This brings a lot of depth when your partner knows what you like more and what you don't like.
Okay.
So the partner will do more of what my partner feels aroused with. So it's a very good activity actually, to know your partners well. So everyone should be talking about accelerators and brakes in their sexual life.
Accelerators and brakes, not So I termed it as sexual turn-offs and turn-ons and turn-offs. But you've given it a new term, accelerators and
turn-offs and turn-off is a negative word, right?
Okay.
But when we're talking with a partner, see, for some people, brushing is a turn-off. But then when we call it a break, it's well taken. That when you're not brushed at night, this turn-off is the partner might get defensive, might get hurt. This is a nice way to understand that decreases my arousal.
Okay.
But I feel much more aroused when you have brushed. So the other partner willing to work on it, the chances will increase. So it's how we talk.
How we talk, and I think essentially how we communicate with our partners if we really want it to work.
Yes.
I think that's the whole essence behind this. So communication is very important. Then Ashita, the key to having what is the term what is the sort of the other term to a sexless marriage?
The opposite term, sexless marriage?
Yeah.
Have a great sexual satisfaction in your marriage.
Okay, great. Sexually satisfactory marriage / relationship, whatever it might be. Thank you so much, Ashita, for these amazing tips. I've had a lovely time chatting with you. It's been an eye-opener of a session, in fact.
Same here, Neha. Thank you for inviting me on your show. looking forward to much more discussions with you. It was lovely having you,
Thank
having
you.
me on your show.
Thanks so much, Ashita, once again.
Thank you.
I hope you loved listening to this conversation that I had with Ashita. Now, I would love hearing from you. Join me on Instagram and on YouTube. Leave me comments there and tell me what you think of our content.